Next is my favorite verse. It's out of order. It's Premanjana, when your eyes are decorated with tears of love. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Prema Anjana ointment. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. The ointment of love and devotion when it's on your eyes. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Shanta Sadaiva Hridayeshu Bhailokayanti. You can see within everyone's heart, Shama Sundar. Shama Sundarama Chinta Guna Sarupa. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Shanta Sadaiva Hridayeshu Bhailokayanti. Shama Sundarama Chinta Guna Sarupa. Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham Bhajami. Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham Bhajami. Govinda, 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 Govinda. Get louder. Govinda, Govinda. One more time. Govinda, Govinda. What's up there? What's the next one? Fantasticoti. Shatavat Sarasam. Pun? I might need help with this. Fantasticoti Shatasam Sarakam Pradamya. Vayodatam Manaso Munikundamaya. Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham Bhajami. Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham Bhajami. Govinda, 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 Govinda. The louder. Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. What's the first word? Echo. I need my phone in my black bag. I don't need my phone. Your phone, Govinda, 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 Govinda. Yad Baba? Yad Baba Vitodiyo Manujastataiva. Wait. Stop. You guys are off. So I got the verse now, so you follow me. Ananda Murti also knows what to do. You jump in the gun. Okay? I just got to get this to. I should know all these verses, right? But because I'm leading, I have to make sure I mess it up. Okay. So you follow me. Jad Bhama Bhavi Tatiyo Manujastitaya Samprapya Rupa Mahima Shayana Pushaha Shutaya Veda Nidama Patitai Savanti Govinda Mari Pushaha Tamahanda Jani Govinda Mari Pushaha Tamahanda Jani Govinda, 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 oh, Govinda, Govinda, Ananda Chinmaya Dasapati Praditani Sapiya Eva Nijarupataya Kalani Goloka Eva Nivasala Tiranaluka Govinda Mani Govinda, 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 Govinda. A little louder. Govinda, Govinda, Premanjana Charitava Irilochaneya Shanda Sadaiva Rivayesu Vimokayanti Eya Shama Sundara Matinda Guna Sharupa Govinda Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham bhajami. Govinda, Govinda, little louder. Oh, Govinda, 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 Rama, Mukti, Sukhalam, Hare Krishna, Namavatara, Nakaro, Kumadesha, Krishna, Swayam, Samabhavat, Paramadhamaya, Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham bhajami. Govinda Hare Krishna, Tamaham bhajami. Govinda, 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 oh, Govinda, Govinda, Yasya Prabhupada Bhagavato Jagatoti Krishna Sesha Vaishudani Divina Sadlama Ishkala Manantala Sesha Bhuta Govinda Hare Krishna Bhajami Govinda Hare Krishna Tamaham bhajami. Govinda, 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 Govinda. All right, a little louder. Govinda, 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 Maya Hijasya Jagadanda Shatani Shukra Ragini Shaya Vera Vitaya Manoha Sadvavalambi Parasakta Visura Sakta Govinda Hare Krishna Tamaham bhajami. Govinda Hare Krishna Tamaham bhajami. Govinda, 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 Hey Govinda, Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmaka Yamanasi Yapranilam Patipalam Swadapravipekya Lilaitena Bhuvanayana Jantatasya Govindamani Krishna Namam Bhajami Govinda Govindamani Krishna Namam Bhajami Govinda 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 Leva Lada Govinda 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 Golokalani Gadami Kalechakasya Devi Maheshwari Dhamma Sukhteshu Tete Pramama Nitaya Siddhaschayena Govinda Mani Krishna Namam Bhajami Govinda Mani Krishna Namam Bhajami Govinda 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 Hey Govinda, Govinda, The last verse says, there's a place above all the lower planets, Mahesh Dham, Devi Dham, it's called Goloka. And on that planet, you don't have to go to work anymore. Sort of says that. Because the reason you don't have to go to work anymore is because when you go there, whatever you want, it just shows up. I mean, unless you want to go to work, you do that. Sisti Stiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti-deka Shayena Yasya Bhuvani Vivarti Durga Nityani Rosamapi Yasya Tete-tete-sa Govinda Mare Prasana Bhajami Govinda Mare Govinda 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 So, this is the theme song for the movie where the devotee goes back to Godhead and he sees Krishna coming back with Balaram and all the cowherd boys and millions of cows, and the dust is coming up, the sun is setting. The devotee just gets there and he sees Krishna in the distance. Can you imagine the scene? Like as a movie? IMAX movie? And then the music comes on. And the song they're playing is Govinda, 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 Govinda. And then the devotee meets Krishna, and Krishna says, "Where you been? What took you so long to get here?" And then Krishna says something really heavy. Really heavy. He said, "How could you have lived without me for so long?" Hare Krishna. Krishna says, "How could you have lived without me for so long, for so long? How could you have lived without me for so long?" Can you imagine Krishna telling that to you? What do you do?
That's the same. Can we ask how did you allow me to leave you?
No, we wanted to. And Krishna knows how difficult it is for us to live without him. And so when you remember this story, then you realize, I have to be hearing and chanting all the time because it's how I'll be with Krishna, otherwise life is crazy. And then what's our answer? Well, Krishna, I tried to forget you so I wouldn't have to think how miserable I was in this stinky, stinky stink of a world without you. Right? It's a whole drama, right? But think about it. Like all these things we do, they actually help us forget Krishna, because if we remember him, we'll realize how miserable we are without him. So we're just trying to like devotees say, I have this problem, and I say, oh, I have the solution to your problem. Drink a cup of gulab jamun juice, and you'll forget everything for a while. So we're just trying to forget, right? Isn't it? And Krishna says, I've been waiting for you. What took you so long? Wow. To know he's going to ask you these questions now is useful, isn't it? So you can get your act together before you go there. Govinda, Govinda, hey, Govinda, Govinda, a little louder. Govinda, Govinda, oh, oh, And when Krishna asks you that question, all you can really say is, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Oranga. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna. Hare 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 Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Hi, Gopanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So now you're all ready to go back to Godhead? You know what to say? You know the questions that will be asked? There are other questions also, but yeah. The other question is, you saw this was going on in ISKCON and you didn't do anything. Why? Why didn't you do anything? Wow. Prabhupada asked you that question. What are you going to say? Think of it now. You see some problem and you don't do anything about it, or you are the problem and you don't do anything about it. Prabhupada's going to say, so, Ai Baba? Yeah? What's he going to say? How do you say in Hindi? What's happening? Ke ho re. Hey Baba, ke ho re. Why didn't you do something? Something to think about. Wasn't my problem. Hare Krishna. Well, every problem in ISKCON is our problem, right? Do something about it. And what about my own problem? I have to do something about that also. Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvise Shishyanivaya. Yes, I will introduce myself. I'm writing a book about Prabhupada. I'm thinking of calling it the Ordinary Person with an Extraordinary Spiritual Master. So anything good you see in me is Prabhupada's mercy. Anything bad you see in me is my wife's fault. I'm only kidding. If she hears that, I probably shouldn't go home. It won't be nice. Yeah. No, I wanted to write that book because, you see me now after 55 years as a devotee, but you didn't see me before I was a devotee. So you saw the transition. You go, yeah, it was just another teenager in America. So, I could tell you that my little story and what I've done, but anything I've done is the mercy of Prabhupada, and I'm here by his mercy. And maybe you could say I'm smart enough to not have left. That's true. But by staying here, I can get purified. So there's nothing that anyone else couldn't do or couldn't do better. And I've done many services, and I think it's all a privilege to be able to serve Krishna. And whatever I could do is his mercy. And Prabhupada said something interesting. He said that I did 10 times more than my guru, and you should do 20 times more than me. So I think, well, how can I do that? If you don't have the false ego that you're the doer, you can do wonderful things. If you want to get credit for everything, Krishna says, okay, next, out with you, throw him out the door. Next. You want to hear a joke? I like going outdoors because it's easier than going out windows. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. The more jokes you tell, the more views you get on YouTube. Did you know that? Hare Krishna. Yeah, so I think that if everything is arranged by Krishna, then the fact that we've come to Krishna consciousness, I would say that Krishna knew we wanted to be Krishna conscious. And he was just waiting for the right time. And it seems like the late 60s was the right time, and every time after there was the right time. And we can only become Krishna conscious when the time is right, when we're ready. And so many of us who met Prabhupada, we were so ready. We were looking for the answers. So when we met Prabhupada, we just like ate it like cake and ice cream. Couldn't get enough of it. And it's something really special about being with Prabhupada. As being with any sadhu, when you're with a sadhu, you become like that sadhu, even though you're not like that. So Prabhupada was completely surrendered to Krishna. He loved Krishna. And then by his association, we wanted to love Krishna and we wanted to surrender. And you all know that when we just contemplate the idea of surrender, there's so many things come up in our head. Right? Well, what about if I surrender? What about this? What about that? Right? How could I do it? And I tried it, didn't work. And like that. What will the neighbors think? What will my relatives think? You know, there's so many considerations. When we met Prabhupada, there was none of those considerations. We just wanted to be like him. We saw this surrendered person and we were so inspired. Let me be like that. So we might look like, oh, we're something special, but we met somebody very special, and it's hard not to be special when you have the association of someone so special. So ordinary person becomes extraordinary by association with an extraordinary person. So everything that I did was because he was extraordinary. I was a devotee for 8 months. I was about 20 years and a few months old. And they needed someone in Vancouver to take over the temple. And they decided I was the right person. So in retrospect, that sounds completely insane, doesn't it? That an 8-month devotee, 20 years old, would be asked to run a temple. Well, of course, in retrospect, the oldest devotee in the movement was 4 years. So 8 months is pretty good. And you would think, well, when they ask me to do that, I would say, are you crazy? I can't do that. You know? But because Prabhupada was there, like, okay, we'll try. Why not? You know, it's like, what can't be done by his mercy? So we did all kinds of so-called surrendered things. We didn't really feel we were surrendered, but we did them because we were inspired. And when I look back at this, and I also think about spiritual life today, inspiration is essentially important. That's where all our energy comes from. And so when you look at all the things that we did with Prabhupada, and just young devotees, and establishing temples and rathayatras and farms, and restaurants and schools, they were all like 20, 20, you know, it's like normally that's not what a bunch of 20-year-olds do, right? It was inspiration, pure inspiration. We were just like, yeah. Prabhupada says, jump off the Empire State Building. Yes, Prabhupada. And we all run up to the top floor. Something like that. You know, and happily do it. So, you know, I could introduce myself and tell you what I do, but it's nothing I do that anyone else couldn't do. Who's got the mercy of the disciplic succession, who's inspired. And when we're inspired and we serve and we try to be good devotees, we get so many realizations, and these realizations push us forward. So in terms of an introduction, I would just like to say I feel very fortunate that I've been able to do many, many services for Prabhupada. One of the things that was so special, I mean, it's still special now, but it's a little more difficult to do. But in those days, you could just get in a van and drive to the next town, next town, next town, next town, and no one had ever heard of Hare Krishna or seen a Hare Krishna. And every place you go is completely new. What's this? What's going on? So special. We went to a town, and so many people came out to see the Harinam. You couldn't walk on the sidewalk, and the cars were stopping, and the police had to come and say, there's like a huge traffic jam, and you have to stop doing this, because no one had seen us. And devotees had piles of BTEs, and people are grabbing them like that. So, to be able to establish something from ground zero, it's like so special. It's never been done before, and you can do it. I mean, you could still do it now. Start programs, open projects. But I just see all of that like, it's just supreme fortune that we can do that for Prabhupada and Krishna. Well, sometimes we're in anxiety trying to do these things, but it's not like you're not going to be in anxiety anyway, right? Isn't it? Just go out and try to drive to work at 7 o'clock. That's enough anxiety to last you the whole day. So it's not like there's not going to be anxiety, but to take that anxiety on for Krishna, for Prabhupada, is I feel very, very fortunate. And anything that's difficult to do, I just think, well, thank you, Prabhupada. You're giving me a chance to show you, some more bhakti. Like, this is difficult, but I'm going to do it because I can show my devotion. Right? If you love somebody and something's difficult, it's like an opportunity. I can show you I love you by making some sacrifice for you. So we did make a lot of sacrifice, but it was out of love. And we just loved Prabhupada, and we wanted to do it. And if all of us look back, you talk to any older devotee and you say, how was it? Sleeping in the van with 48 other devotees, 3 on top of one another, eating peanuts and raisins, lunch, breakfast, dinner, snack, on the street 12 hours a day distributing books. You just hear that and you go, oh my God, I'd never be able to do that. And you ask them, how was it? Go, best days of my life. Why? Because we're doing it out of love. And anything you do out of love is beautiful, right? It's not what you're doing that's, even think about it's hard. It's just, You fall in love with someone and your car breaks down and it's raining, and you have to get home and walk 3 miles. You'll probably remember that for the rest of your life as the sweetest memories, isn't it? We walked through the storm together. So romantic. Even though it was freezing and the wind was blowing, we were cuddling together and we were getting wet. It's like that, right? So we make these sacrifices for Prabhupada, and it's just fond memories, even though it was austere. Yeah. And then I had this dream. When I was in Vancouver, I was temple president. It was really difficult for me. I was young, and the devotees that happened to be there were kind of heavy duty, and I'm not such a heavy duty person. So it was hard. I won't mention any names, but they were heavyweights. So it was a little difficult. And I was in anxiety. Like, I was in a lot of anxiety. In fact, before I became a devotee, I'd never experienced the level of anxiety I was in as a temple president of that, being so young and inexperienced and so far away from where I grew up. And Prabhupada came in a dream, and he just kind of rubbed my hand. It's like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. So these little things are like, okay. And then it was so funny. So then I was an American citizen, and I was in Canada, and I didn't really want to be there. I came from a temple with San Francisco. It was like such a enthusiastic temple, like 25 brahmacharis, like all like half the temple were just legends of ISKCON, today. And I was Vancouver, and there's 3 other devotees and me, and it's like whatever, 1,400 miles from San Francisco. So I didn't really want to be there. But I didn't want to just leave, because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to try. So I thought, okay, they're never going to give me a green card or whatever they give you in Canada. And I couldn't stay without one. But I thought, I have to do my duty and apply for it. And so I applied for it. And we drove down from Vancouver to the border, and then you turn around and you present all your papers. And I went to a lawyer, and the lawyer said, you're not going to get it because it was 1970 and Vietnam War was still going on. So young boys were getting drafted, but if they went to Canada, they were safe. So many young American boys were going to Canada and trying to get visas. He said, There's just too many people coming, you're not going to get it. And inside I was like, yes. Because I just wanted to call up the president in San Francisco who sent me and said, well, I tried to get the visa. I couldn't get it. So, I'm going to have to come back. You have to find somebody. I had the whole thing played out in my head. The whole movie was there. I knew exactly how it was going to happen. So I went in, and I gave all my papers. And I did the paperwork just because I thought it's my duty. And the guy, he looks at my papers and this and that. And he goes in and he reads all my papers and he comes out in 5 minutes. And I thought, well, 5 minutes means he just was looking at a few pages and like, why waste my time with this bum, I'm not going to give him a visa. He comes back in 5 minutes. He goes, here's your green card. And I'm like, Prabhupada, I guess you want me in Vancouver. I was like, so, when you have that closeness to your guru, to Prabhupada, and you're just like, okay, Prabhupada, I guess I'm here, And so I think the greatness of any of us is that we have that inspiration to serve our spiritual master out of love, not to get recognized or not to walk around and, when I try to go back to Godhead and Krishna says, or Jai and Vijay, who's everything goes, I don't know about you. And say, but I did this, this, and this, and this. Isn't that in the book? That should be enough, right? That's not why we do it. We do it out of love. Please our Guru. And that becomes our greatness. And so you become great like your Guru and you reflect the light of your Guru. Like some people say, probably you're so effulgent. And I don't know if they're serious or not. It's just my bald head or whatever. This, the lights off my head. But, and I just joke with him. I say, Prabhu, I'm just reflecting your effulgence. So you're seeing this, but it's a fact. You reflect the effulgence of sadhus, saintly persons. So anything great I've done is just a reflection of the mercy of Prabhupada. And when Prabhupada was told you did something great, he said, I don't know that I've done anything great. Because Prabhupada's consciousness was, everything is the mercy of my Guru. So I'm not even aware that I have any particular qualification. It's just like, I don't, so many devotees, you'll tell them you're doing so many things. They don't even notice it. It's you might think that's really weird. They're doing so many things and like, what am I doing? Oh, yeah, this and that. And they're just thinking, no, that my Guru is doing that, not me. So they don't feel that. So that's why I don't like my bios being read, because it sounds like I'm somebody special or something. I mean, I think maybe we become special just by not leaving Krishna consciousness. You stick around long enough, something's bound to happen, right? Something's going to wear off in you, right? I've been practicing violin for 18,000 years. Sooner or later, I should be able to play, So you stick around long enough, something's going to happen. That's natural. And so rather than, you saying, oh, you've done so many things. No, just look at the process works. I'm just an example of the process working. I'm not special. It works for all of us, right? So that's what we want to see. When we see the accomplishments of a devotee, we think the process works. And then you might say, okay, but what if a devotee has difficulty? Then I lose faith, right? So you're doing good, you're doing good, you're doing good. This gives me faith. But oh. Give me your phone. I want to do something. Oh, good. Okay, how do I ask you the question?
I don't know. Randomly picked up.
I want to ask you the question. What does Mahatma Das say about struggle? I'm going to do a podcast, and that's how I'm going to start. I'm going to ask ChatGPT a question. Say, what does Mahatma's wife say about this? What does Mahatma say about this? And listen to it, and then we're going to talk about it. Yeah. So if you stay in Krishna consciousness, you become advanced. But what about the people that fall down? Well, that also proves the philosophy, because if you don't follow it, you fall down. Or if your motives are impure, or if you're trying to attract people to you, it doesn't work that way. So even if someone has difficulty, it's proof that the process works. They just didn't follow it, and that proves the validity of it. Someone didn't follow it, okay, it doesn't work. It's like if someone just eats pizza and ice cream every day and doesn't exercise and they're super healthy, you're like, it's not going to happen. And if it does, I mean, a rare person, it happens. But if they're not healthy, it's like, yeah, well, it proves the point that you need exercise, you need to eat well, drink a lot of water, not be in anxiety. So, and then one time, Prabhupada was asked, well, Srila Prabhupada, Lord Brahma, is the head of our sampradaya, but we read that he had a fall down, as we call it in ISKCON terms. And Prabhupada said, so he said, well, how are you supposed to understand that? That doesn't make sense at all. And Prabhupada said, you should think, if even such a great person could have difficulty, what about me? Like I really have to be careful. Because the normal way of thinking is, why should I even try? He didn't do it. And Prabhupada's saying, you need to try harder because he had difficulty. So, and if you do that, no matter who has difficulty, if we follow the process will work. So it's not us that's doing it. It's just we're giving our willpower to the process, and the process is doing it. So, our credit is that we did the process. But our purification is because the process purified us, not that we purified ourselves. We can't really purify ourselves. We're too far gone. We've been in the material world so long. It's like, don't even try it, Prabhu. You got so much crust and dust over your heart. You'll never get it off. But when you get the mercy of Guru and Sadhu, it gets off because it's a cleaner that we have no access to, and they can come and clean it. So you see the greatness of a devotee, but the devotee knows it's not my greatness, it's the greatness of my Guru who's cleaning me. It's the greatness of the process. It's the empowerment. One really amazing thing is that one of Prabhupada's godbrothers said something that blew my mind, or as they say in India, this is mind blasting. They still say that? Prabhu, it is mind blasting. This will blast your mind. This godbrother said, what Prabhupada accomplished in New York was because he was empowered by Nityananda Prabhu, because Nityananda Prabhu goes to the most fallen. And what it means to be empowered by Nityananda Prabhu, I never heard this before, and it makes so much sense, I just never thought it. He said, what Prabhupada accomplished was no different than what Nityananda Prabhu would have accomplished if he went there, because he was empowered by Nityananda. Wow, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada did, if Prabhupada didn't go to New York and Nityananda Prabhu went to New York, same result. Not better, not worse, because Nityananda Prabhu was working with him. Of course, and that's why Prabhupada said, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Because he was aware Nityananda Prabhu was working through him. So if your Guru or the Acharyas, Nityananda Prabhu, if they work through you, you do amazing things and people glorify you, but inside, well, what did I do? I just didn't jump off the boat. The boat, you get on a boat and the boat goes all the way to India. And you're like, wow, you made it to India. That's amazing. Like, I was just on a boat. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you did, Prabhu. You didn't jump off the boat. You made it. Yeah. Okay, I didn't jump off the boat. Right? So you stay in the boat of sadhana bhakti and seva, then you're good. You'll get purified. You'll do amazing things. Almost every year I will give a class and I will tell devotees, in the future you're going to have to become gurus. And they're all like, no, I'm not. No way, not me. That's not going to happen. Or they're looking around like, who are you talking to? Or they're looking down like, are you kidding me, a guru? And Prabhupada said that, right now on the internet there's a lot of talk about the Ritvik idea. That's not a right name for this idea. But the idea is that nobody's qualified to initiate, only Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked his disciples many times, I want you all to become gurus. It was like, fit. There's no place in my brain for that idea. You know, it's like, what are you talking about? Who are you kidding? Prabhupada, that was a good joke. You have any other jokes? You know, that's how we took it. Like, there's no way. It's not going to happen. But Prabhupada's asking. And he was serious. He's like, look if you take the Krishna consciousness, you can do this. And one devotee said, Prabhupada, I don't think any of us are qualified. And he said, you have to become qualified. It's not a big thing. You follow this process strictly. You teach it, you live it, you're an example. And you become guru, whether it's Diksha or Siksha. And one devotee told me that he was with Prabhupada on a morning walk, and when Prabhupada took the walk and went back to his car and got in the car, the devotees are all there, they pay obeisances, and they say, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Right? That's what we always say, right? And Prabhupada said, I will become glorious when all my disciples become spiritual masters. Wow. So he wanted that. And we're sitting here thinking, me? Spiritual master? Are you kidding? That would be the joke of the universe. And Prabhupada was serious. So it's not me, I'm not qualified, whatever. The process works. It works through you. We just had a little birthday party. They call it Vyasa Puja, but just to call it a birthday party. And they did something so beautiful at this birthday party. I loved it. I put quotes on Facebook, 1 or 2 quotes a day in Instagram. And they're taken from lectures or books lectures and books. Or sometimes I'll just come up with something and we'll put that there. So, and then they do little, pictures, whatever, and then they little graphics, and then it goes on. So they had all, there's like 2 a day, so they must have had 700 from last year. But they took 75 of them and they put them on a board, little cards like that. And I was thinking what to do with them. And I thought, well, we'll just read them, and whoever wants the card can raise their hand, I'll come get it. So I'm reading these and I'm like, I said that? That's really... Last night I had an amazing experience, almost out of the body. We were doing a class on humility, and I made this PowerPoint after I did the humility workshop level 1. Some of you may have gone. It's online on our app. You can take the course, and we're doing level 2 in 3 weeks. And so right after that course, what I normally do is I take all the main points of the course and I turn them into affirmations. So they're like philosophical points, but you spin them around, and then it's like, I offer respects to everyone. I don't want respect for myself. You just take it like that. So they wanted me to speak about humility. So that's what we did in Cincinnati. And we did a PowerPoint, and I listened to it for the first time since I think like February or March, and I'm looking at it and going, I wrote that. I was actually awed. It was like, I can't say it was so good because then it sounds like I'm tooting my horn. But that was my experience, that I was thinking, wow, this is really good. I can't believe I wrote this. You ever done that? Something, and you look at it and you go, I did that? I can't believe I did that. So when you have those experiences, then you realize that it's just like anything can possibly be done, and it's not me, and there's no false ego in it. It's just like you're just looking at it, as if you're looking at somebody else. So that's why I don't like introductions, because they're misleading. And I never want, I think it's really bad if devotees see like an older devotee and think, well, you're an old devotee, you're a disciple of Prabhupada, you check all the boxes, and I don't check those boxes, so I can't become as Krishna conscious as you. And Prabhupada's saying, you do 20 times more than I did. And Prabhupada's saying in his books, you become pure devotee and take me back to Godhead. So Prabhupada was he had big expectations for us. Not like, I'm so fallen, Prabhupada, I can't do anything. I can hardly chant 1 good round a year. That's not the way he saw it. It's not what he expected. And Prabhupada's like, no, the process will purify you. Maybe you can't do it, but the process can. And if you take to the process, you become something special. So, Hare Krishna. What time does the introduction end? What time are we supposed to end?
12:30.
12:30. Oh, so I have 10 minutes. Maybe we should just take questions, but you don't have to ask questions about what I said. Just anything of interest to you. Yes.
Did you share a couple of things which you said? Oh, did I say that? Now, a couple of things which you said.
Yeah. You want to say what I said, or
No, I wanted to hear from you that in that session you said.
what I said
out
in
of the 70, a couple of
humility. Well, of the 20 affirmations, well, Prabhupada said that the doors to Vaikuntha open for the humble. And he said that everything in your whole spiritual advancement is based on your humility. So I'm working on level 2, and in level 2 workshop, we talk about unhealthy pride and healthy pride, because there's a healthy form of pride where you're proud of yourself for accomplishing something, but it's not a kind of pride that you boast or you use to feel superior to others or to put others down. So pride, sometimes people say, when I do this, it makes me proud. I feel proud in a bad way. So when we say we feel bad in a proud way, it means it makes me feel better than others, right? It makes me feel above others. And so I can be proud of my accomplishments, but in gratefulness to the empowerment that was given me, and I don't feel better. I just feel fortunate. But when I feel better, that's a problem. One of the heaviest things we said yesterday, should I tell you? Could ruin your appetite. No, that's not bad. You can fast. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, if you try to get honored, you do things to attract attention to yourself, you try to get honor for yourself from other Vaishnavas, he said, that desire is wicked. It's evil. We just think, I'm a normal conditioned soul, Prabhu. That's what I do. But it's even, you could say, sinful. It's interesting. And I want to tell you a story. This is one of the most beautiful stories about humility that I've ever heard. And I think it's so important for all of us, especially in relation to working together, which we all know is not always easy. So it's Gaudiya Math. Gaudiya Math was just it's not a temple. They don't call it a temple because it's a residence for brahmacharis. So brahmacharis are living, it's an ashram. Brahmacharis are living there. And the senior brahmachari is so busy, he's not chanting any rounds. So that's like a big thing. So the other brahmacharis are like, what are we doing? He's not chanting his rounds. It's not good, And so they all come to Bhaktisiddhanta. He's like the senior brahmachari is not chanting his rounds. So in their mind, it's like all hell is let loose. And, what are we going to do with this guy? Ganges is down there. I got some weights. Maybe we just throw him in the Ganga and say goodbye. This is such a bad example. I mean, you can imagine what they're thinking. Like, this is a bad example. It's just like if I told you I'm not chanting 16 rounds, you'd be like, get up and go, well, why am I listening to you? Like, well, no, it's okay. I chant 32. No. That's not true. But you know what I'm saying, like if 5 minutes before I came here, you're looking at your Instagram and says, Mahatma Prabhu does not chant 16 rounds. You're like, why would you want to come here? And you'd all be talking, he doesn't chant, you invited him here. So you can imagine, sometimes they have billboards, and you see this billboard and it kind of says something that leaves you dangling and there's no conclusion. Then you drive 5 miles in it. So today on Facebook, Mahatma doesn't chant 16 rounds. Tomorrow on Facebook, he chants 32. You get all, you wait to get all the people criticizing you, and then it's like just social experiment. Just see, your flies looking for the dirt, looking for the stool. So anyway, so they go to Bhaktisiddhanta, obviously concerned and maybe upset, but definitely concerned. This is a problem. And you know what Bhaktisiddhanta said? He said, so he asked him, first thing he said, is he doing service? They said, yes, he's doing service all day. He's fully engaged. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, he was trying to teach how to, what humility is. He was always trying to teach it. So he was teaching these brahmacharis humility in a way I don't think anyone expected, and you probably wouldn't expect it either, because it's off the charts of humility. He said he's engaging in service all day and he's not chanting. He said, I couldn't do that. If I stopped chanting, I wouldn't have the inspiration and the bhakti. I would just fall into Maya. And he gave an example. He said, my cup meaning like my heart, it's very small, so I don't have much in there. So if I don't chant, it's just going to dry up. I won't have anything. But his cup is very big. Otherwise, how is it that he's not chanting and he's still doing service? So he turns the whole thing around, glorifies him, puts himself down. Like, who was expecting that, right? And they're all like, let's pounce on him, So he was teaching that humility always glorifies and pride always criticizes. And if you're criticizing unnecessarily, especially making up things that are not true, don't think you're doing that because you're smart. It's not why you're doing it. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, and he spoke personally, but we have to take this for ourselves. He said, the reason I criticize is I don't have 1 ounce of Trinada Pisunechana. I have no humility like grass. It does not exist. When I criticize, I think it's because I'm smart and nobody sees the problem, only me. So I'm smarter than all of you. So that's why I'm criticizing. And he's saying, no, the reason you're criticizing is you have no humility. And then he said, that's the very reason I can't appreciate the devotees, because I'm proud. So I'm trying to be better, thinking myself better, wanting recognition for others, pulling people down, that so-called raises me. And he spoke that in the first person, I. Would you like to hear another mind-blasting story?
Yes.
You want the Indian imitation? Also. Mind-blasting. Mind-blasting only. Yes. I can make fun of Indians because the astrologer said I was born in Orissa in my last life, so I'm also part Indian. We told this story yesterday. Such a beautiful story. Prabhupada was with his disciples and he said, can you open 108 temples? So this was Prabhupada's goal. And then he said, if we open 108 temples, then I will feel that I have served my Guru. I will feel satisfied, and then I can die satisfied that I served my Guru. Like we all have goals. You ever feel like that? If I just do this, then when I die, I could die now. And then Prabhupada said, so you open the 108 temples, I will feel satisfied that I can die now and then go to hell. Then I will go to hell. So everybody obviously was in shock. And you could imagine what they said. Srila Prabhupada, if you're going to hell, we're going with you. Of course, naturally. And Prabhupada said something amazing. He said, no. He said, you are not going to hell. You are going to Vaikuntha. I'm going to hell. So he was exhibiting the humility of a Mahabhagavad. He takes the role of a second-class devotee who sees devotees and non-devotees. At that point, he was the only non-devotee. That's Mahabhagavad. There's only one non-devotee in the universe, and it's me, and everyone else is devotees. You're all going back to Godhead, and everybody's going, but I'm not going. Wow. And we could say that, because we're good actors. So, Prabhu, you're going back to Godhead. When you get there, put in a good word for him. I saw Kadamba Kanana Swami, and just maybe a few weeks before he left this world. And Jayadvaita Swami was there, and I spoke to him. And I said, I bet everyone says to him, put in a good word for me when you get there. And Maharaj said, yep, that's what they all say. So I didn't want to say that. But, it looks good if you say it, doesn't it? We can act humbly. But the feeling that Prabhupada had, it's like he actually feels that everyone's better than him. The pure devotee actually feels he's better. And we can't imitate that. But sometimes we try. Prabhu, you're better than me. So it's just a meditation on like understanding what humility is and then meditating on like, what is that feeling? How would a devotee see? How would he feel that way? And in some way trying to get closer to that, understand it. And then particularly how that applies practically. Like in a day-to-day scenario, how does it manifest practically? Because if you don't know how it manifests practically, you can't monitor it. So you have to see it, you know? Like you're in a big argument with someone, I'm right, no, I'm right. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how humble is that? At least -1. There's no humility there, right? There's nothing there, you know, so you're, and we're, you know, that's normal in the material world. People will fight, but we're devotees. We're not supposed to do that. So it's like when you're trying to be a devotee or call yourself a devotee, then when you don't do things right, it's much worse, right? Because, you know, it's like the judge is a criminal. Like, that's bad, you know. The criminal's a criminal, like, oh, whatever. But the judge is, that's not good. So, you know, people are conditioned, they have their faults, but you're a devotee, you're not supposed to. So, basically, the essence of that course was how fundamental humility is to spiritual advancement. Like, and it's both the way to advance and the symptom of advancement. Hare Krishna. Gauranga. Yes.
So what is the humble way of knowing that all devotees have, if like the devotee himself has problems or faults,
Yeah.
and then sees his co-devotee also has the problems.
Yeah.
What is a humble or right way of correcting each other? Or doing the right thing?
Well, correct yourself first. Yeah. You know, worry about yourself. I have a theory. I think it's true. That, well, there's two things. Like they're seeing a fault for a valid reason because, you know, like let's say he's beating up all the kids here, and I say, not that he would, but he's humble, so we'll use him. He won't beat me up after I say this. So, you know, you see him like mistreating a kid, and so you point that out because that kid was hurt, and there may be other kids that are hurt. So that's different. But if you look at him and you say something, I could, just by looking at him, I could see, you know, he's probably like watching Netflix every night and eating chocolate. You know, it's like, how do you know? You know, why would you say that? That's unnecessary. It has no benefit. So, so Bhaktisiddhanta said, if you're seeing other people's faults, it bewilders you. It pulls you down. Psychologists say that generally the faults you see in others are your own because you're so familiar with them. And it reminds you of your own fault. And the way you try to like drug yourself so you won't be bothered by it is to point it out in them. So my theory is the more you see other people's faults, it means the less you want to deal with your own because you don't have to, because you're spending all your time with theirs. So as if you don't have any. So Bhaktisiddhanta is saying, yeah, well, just, you know, work on your own. That's the real thing. And interesting story. This is such a good story. Would you like to hear a good story? It's said that the guru has a thankless task, and the thankless task is that he has to find fault. That's the job of the guru. Like, find a fault in the disciple, point it out. And one devotee was fault finding. And Bhaktisiddhanta used to say, finding fault with devotee, it's like no devotee wants to find fault. It's antithetical to the humble nature of a devotee to see faults and point them out. And this devotee was finding fault all the time. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, my God, I don't know if he said my God, but I have to be dramatic because that's the impression I got. It was like, my God, I have this thankless task of finding faults. It's my service as guru. It's a thankless task. Vaishnavas don't do it. And you don't have to do it, and you're doing it. It's like, wow. You know, it's like you're a multi-billionaire and you're working, you know, at Walmart as a cashier. I was like, you know, and I'm working at Walmart as a cashier, and I look at you. you don't have to do this. I hate this job. Why are you doing it? It was like that. You don't have to find fault. I do. I got to be the cashier. And you're a multi-billionaire and you're the cashier. Like, so I think that's important. Like, and he taught, there's another story. Maybe you may have heard this. So some disciples are coming to him to complain about somebody else. And he didn't like that because humility is always glorified. You always glorify devotees. And that's what helps you in your bhakti. So he stood strong against criticism because he just saw it as a contamination. And so some devotee comes to complain about another devotee. And obviously, like sometimes we have to. But I think in this case, it was like completely useless. It was just a waste of energy and time. And he wanted to train the disciple. So the disciple came, I want to talk to you about so-and-so, Prabhu. He said, okay. But before you tell me the problem, say something good about him. And of course, when you don't like somebody, it's like, something good. Do I have to? I really can't think of anything. Okay. He's got some cool socks. It's like you can't say anything good. You just hate him so much. You ever been there? Done that one? Yeah. It's like, no, we're not talking until you say something. Okay, it's got a nice feedback. No, come on. He's a good cook. He's a good mridanga. But I think I heard a story like this in modern day ISKCON where the devotee said, okay, he's a good mridanga player. Say something positive. Say something positive. And so, what part is the mic? Oh, it's here. So he said, finally got the devotee to say something positive. And Bhaktisiddhanta said, okay, meeting's over. But Guru Maharaj, I didn't get to tell you the problem. No, meeting's over. He didn't. He just wanted to teach that we don't want to cultivate this mentality. We want to cultivate the mentality of humility, and humility manifests as appreciation. And you can appreciate any devotee. My realization coming from I have a sarcastic nature, which I've learned to curb. It comes out, less than normal. But if you ask my wife, I've gotten better. And so all that, I think I'm smart, so I can criticize, so I can see what's going wrong and like that. But as you progress in devotional service, you will overlook the faults and you will see the things you didn't see. You'll see the good things in people before you weren't seeing, and the faults that you were seeing is just you don't have that in your heart anymore. It's like it's not your nature to do that. Right? When you love somebody, you don't want to find fault with them. So that's what he was trying to teach. That's the sign of advancement. There's more appreciation, well, I don't want to appreciate so-and-so because, they just burnt the subji, right? Yeah, well, at least they're trying, right? At least, it could have been, they could have been doing something else today and they're in the kitchen from, 9 a.m. So, yeah, they burnt the subji, but, in the old days of ISKCON, if you burnt the subji, who ate it? You. The whole pot. It's a good thing we weren't fanatics. If you put salt in the sweet rice, who ate that sweet rice? You ate the whole pot. That's your name on it, yeah. Hare Krishna. You said, I wish I was there when Prabhupada was there. There's a lot of things you could be happy you didn't have to go through. You spilt milk, you got to lick it off the floor. Yeah. You don't know you don't know what movement you're actually in. You don't know what happened in this movement. But so my own realization, this is not from a book, but my own realization is that as I progressed in Krishna consciousness, I was looking at myself whenever I would find, whenever I have the tendency to find fault, and I'd ask myself, why am I going there right now? And I just felt there was like insecurity, like I don't. How is it like? I have to feel better than these people. It makes me secure or feel good to feel better. And I just stopped talking about other people and criticizing and pulling them down, because I thought it's just a sign that something's wrong with me and I want to cure it. And I wanted just to appreciate. So I noticed that as I progressed, it became more natural to appreciate, and it became less natural to find fault, because everyone has faults. But you know that joke, they did a play in New Vrindavan years ago, and there's a fanatic devotee. So do you have any Russians here? Yeah. Okay. Well, you can laugh at this one. He was playing a fanatic devotee, so he's playing a Russian. Because apparently Russians make good fanatics. I've heard. What do you think? He's taking it lightly. So he's playing a Russian devotee, and he said something to another devotee. And the devotee said, "That's fault finding." And the Russian devotee said, "Prabhu, I am not finding fault. Your faults are visible. I do not have to search them. I'm not finding faults. They're right in front of my face." Yeah. I'm not a fault finder. Your faults are on display. I didn't search them out. So, but when you're advancing, at least my experience is, when you're advancing, the desire to find fault decreases, the desire to appreciate increases, and then it happens naturally, progressively, and then everything's better. Everybody's happy, and that's Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada said to his disciples, he said, "My godbrothers did not start fighting until Guru Maharaj left this planet." He said, "But you have already started before I've left the planet. You're bad news." So he didn't like it, and really disturbed Prabhupada when devotees didn't get along. Really, I think that to me, well, Shruti Kirti told me that the thing that Prabhupada was most concerned about is we would change the philosophy, come up with some new ideas. But to me, probably number two is devotees not getting along. There's just so many letters where Prabhupada expresses how upset he is when devotees aren't getting along, to the point he can't even have the peace of mind to translate his books. He's so disturbed. So I think that's important. Maybe I'm right and I want to prove you're wrong, but if it's creating a toxic culture, it's not going to please Prabhupada. And so my life is dedicated to pleasing him. Hare Krishna. So that's something. I mean, we could go for 7 hours. You can take the course. When the ad comes out, we can send it to you and you can share it. But it's such an important discussion. Such an important discussion for our spiritual life. Okay, Hare Krishna. Finished? Not offended, right? You don't want to offend Russians, that's all. Because you never know. I'll tell you a funny story. And this is a Russian story. The Russian devotee was at a forgiveness workshop, and I'm like, forgive them, they do something bad, just let it go, blah, blah, blah. He said, in Russia, we have our own forgiveness program, he said. He said, we had a worker, and he was this and thatting, maybe he was taking money. He said, so our program is, we take him outside and beat him up, and then we forgive him after we beat him up. That's Russian-style forgiveness. Does that make sense? Hare Krishna. It's a true story. Now my Russian disciples are like, it's online now. Oh my God. Oh yeah, it's okay. Yes. I don't know. Last question.
First of all, thank you so much for
I thought he said, here's another Russian, watch out. It's too late now, right? I'm in trouble. Okay.
Swamiji, this might be a contentious or like a rebellious question. I've been raised in a family of like where all the women like were very like strong feminists, and whenever I read purports where Prabhupada says that women are less intelligent or something along those lines,
Yeah.
it's very like it's upsetting or like unsettling for me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I understand that if you see Krishna's ministry, you see like Lakshmi as a finance minister, Saraswati as
Yeah.
a minister of education, knowledge minister,
Yeah.
Durga Devi is just like the minister of material world. So I'm not able to like wrap my head around
What is meant? Well, it's actually Manu's. You know, it's Prabhupada just repeating Manu. It's in the Manu Samhita. So you need some context. But Prabhupada said, you know, we shouldn't even like deal with Manu Samhita. But I have to say something first. Are you married? Yeah. So for all you men who are married, like if you ask any man who's married, is your wife intelligent? Most of them will say she's more intelligent than I am.
Yeah, I feel the same way about my sister.
Yeah.
So
this is just me personally, how I see it. Look at this side of the room and how we're dressed, and look at that side of the room and how they're dressed. Like, how many men have earrings and like purple and pink, you know, dhotis, and like it's just the nature of women, right? Is to look beautiful, right? That's like we go out before we go out to an event. We don't even look in the mirror, do we? We just like get dressed and go. You know, we look in the mirror to put on tilak. That's about it. But for women, it's more important, right? Women to raise kids have to be more grounded as mothers, and that emotional intelligence for children. So from the pure spiritual perspective, they would call that less intelligent. Like, they're more interested in looking good and, things related to home, nesting and building a nice home. I was staying at the home of a devotee in Israel, and the curtain was an old dhoti. And the couch looked like he picked it up off the street. And his dining table and chairs was a plastic round table. So one morning, 2 female devotees came to bring me prasadam, and I was joking with them. They said, "Look, you like that curtain? You like that couch?" It was pretty dirty. They looked at it. They wouldn't even sit on it. And you like that dining table? They knew I was joking. I go, "Why do you think he has a curtain? It has a dhoti for a curtain and a plastic table for a dining table and a dirty old couch that he found on the street." He said, "What?" I immediately said, "'Cause he's not married." Isn't it? Yeah. So, they say, get a house and the woman will make it a home, give her the vegetables, and she'll make a beautiful meal. Like that. So that's what they do. It's a different function. But according to this like Manu Samhita strict definition of what is spiritual, then analyzed from that angle, they say, well, that's less intelligent. Like Prahlad's mother. She heard Narada Muni, but she didn't hear. She was so concerned about the baby in the womb, which mother should be. That's natural. That she wasn't hearing Shastra. So, she's less intelligent. So, they need certain qualities to do what they do. But I heard a show, and the devotee asked every married man that was there, or many of them, "Is your wife intelligent?" Every single one of them said, "She's more intelligent than I am." I just said that today when I left. They invited my wife to come to Cincinnati to do a marriage workshop. And I said, "Yeah, you should invite her. She's more intelligent than I am." I said it also. So it's my joke is, well, you could get heart surgery with a heart surgeon, but she's female, or with a male butcher. What's your choice? Well, obviously, the female heart surgeon, right? Except for the fanatic brahmachari. No, I will not get my heart surgery with a female because they're less intelligent. I'm going to a male butcher. I'm like, come on. So sometimes, we misunderstand. Now, there may be other ways of looking at it. Other people have different ways of looking at it. But, it's like, what do you think about this race of people? Well, which one are you talking about? Right? What do you think about women? Which one? Right? I know so many women that are so articulate, clear, pure, advanced, renounced, everything. So arbitrarily to say no, it's like that's not proper. But they do have a nature. Okay, ladies, it's time for me to get on your case and make fun of you. There's a little mathematical equation. All you men can take this home. Chanakya Pandit says 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, twice this time. So I think he said 8 times lusty, but lusty is not necessarily sexual lust. It's just like for having things. So count the number of kurtas and dhotis you have, multiply it by 8, and count the number of saris your wife has. It should be about right. You agree? Yeah. Okay. Does that answer your question? So, yeah, something like that. So that's the nature of women. They like beautiful things. They like having a lot, more than men. So from Manu's point of view, that's less intelligent. But it's Kali Yuga, so everyone's capable of being Krishna conscious. And we would never say women don't have bhakti, right? And nowadays, in the world, most people joining are women, so that makes them more intelligent than the men who don't join. In China, it's 85% women. Men rarely join, so that means the women in China are way more intelligent than the men, right? It's called yoga, so it's hard to, just put things in a box, because by that standard, Chinese women are way smarter. South America, it's 85% women. I don't know in America, but it's like 85. So the South American women are much smarter than the men. Anyway, it's a whole topic. And it is controversial, and it does keep us awake and paying attention, doesn't it? Okay. All right, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Radhanatha Bhara ki jai, Gonithai ki jai, Jagannath Swami ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Mahatma Prabhu ki
Hare Krishna.
The Gora is over. You can come.
Yeah, okay.
Now we'll ask stand up.
I have to, at 1:30, I have to disappear. Hare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Godadhara Shivashari Gaura